Good afternoon and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Ingles Rink. I'm Paul Wasserman, bringing you live coverage of Yale women's hockey today as they take on the Providence Friars in a non-conference matchup. The Bulldogs come in today 2-11-1, 1-6-1 in the ECAC. For Providence College, they're sitting at 8-9-4, 5-4-2 in the Hockey East. It should be a very good matchup today as the Bulldogs look to get their second half of the season started here today in New Haven, Connecticut. The first half of the season didn't go exactly as planned for the Bulldogs with only 2 wins, one in the ECAC, but still there were a lot of positives to take out of that first half of the season. Notably a pretty good performance in the Nutmeg Classic. The Bulldogs came away with a 4-3 victory in overtime, advanced to the finals where they fell to Boston College 5-0 there, but a good showing for the Bulldogs, better than we've seen in previous years. We've seen a lot of good output coming from a number of areas, especially the freshmen. We talked about it a bit yesterday. Jamie Haddad, Janelle Ferraro, number 10 and number 12 respectively, have been very potent all season long. We're going to look for them to have a big scoring output so far today. Now we're about 5 minutes away from getting this game underway, and I caught up with Coach UK Fleeg of the Yale Bulldogs a couple minutes ago and asked him about his thoughts about the first half of the season going into the second half of this year. We're going to air that interview right now.
First time this year, I think we attempted more shots than our opponent did, which was a great thing to see. I think Miguel did a good job blocking shots. That was obviously a difference as far as the shot outcome was. But I think we liked how we possessed the puck and what we created. We involved our defensemen a lot in the offensive play too, which is something we've been kind of stressing all year long, and I think it's paid a little bit of dividends yesterday too. And areas of improvement, I think our transition game wasn't great from going from our defensive zone into the offensive end. I think we struggled as far as to connecting on passes and coming up the ice together, and that led to some bad turnovers, and they got some good scoring opportunities off that too. So that's certainly an area we want to stress going into tonight, where I think we can be a little bit better as far as taking care of the puck in our end, be better in transition, play a little quicker that way, and hopefully that will lead to more scoring opportunities that way too, and us possessing the puck a little bit more than our opponent tonight. So
great. And after one half of your season already in the books, what do you look for Yale to improve on the most going into the second half? You talked about it a bit in terms of possessing, but anything else, any other players you're looking to really step up for the second half of this season?
Well, I just think we saw the glimpses of it here in our last weekend when we played Union RPI before break, where we've always been looking for secondary scoring. I think our first line's been carrying that load a little bit too, but I thought that the line of Supa, Matichuk, and Hannah Ostrom did a really good job and produced a lot that week, and I think that's something we need, where we can have a couple of lines that can, on any given night, give us offense. I think that's really important too, so we're not a one-line team where opponents need to focus on really one line to shut us down, and then we struggle from there. So I think that's what was very encouraging, and I think yesterday's game too, they played well, and that's something that we'll continue to look for them to really find ways to contribute on the scoreboard and give us kind of like a 1-2 punch where we can rely on offense. And obviously we need to score more goals. I think that's a big part taken from the first half, where obviously we were challenged a little bit offensively, and something that we got to keep building on too. But a big difference here, we got to make sure we're better special teams. I think our power play was just okay the first half, and our penalty kill was terrible, to be honest with you. And that's something where we can improve in those areas. I think that a lot of those one-goal games we're not winning, they'll turn into wins because of, we can tighten up things on, on the penalty kill will make a big difference. Hopefully score some more power play goals. I think that's a big difference in a lot of games. I think the RPI game was a perfect example where we were 1 for 4, they were 3 for 4, and they won the game 4-3. And so I think we can improve on those things and keep doing what we're doing as far as how hard we compete on a daily basis. And our kids are playing our systems real well. They're doing everything we ask them to do. I think that hopefully we can get some more wins here in the second half. And obviously we have a lot of league games left there to play. And I think that's what really we got to focus on too. Obviously we have 14 league games played, and certainly by any means we're not out of a playoff picture too. And I think that's really we want to push and see if we can sneak in for that 7-8 spot in our league to get into playoffs. I think that'd be a unbelievable season for us to have because of who we are and where we're going, what we had last year, and I think that we're more than capable of doing that as well. So I'm excited for the second half here. This is a good warm-up weekend for us to kind of get some kinks out, and hopefully come next week, and then when we start playing league play again, we'll be ready to go.
Great. Well, thanks a lot, Coach, and good luck today.
Thank you very much.
I'm here with Well, we got you back just in time to hear the end of the national anthem. Today sung by number 3, Allie Austin, a player on the Yale women's hockey team, out so far with an injury. Normally we see number 21, Patricia McGauley, do the honors. She sang both the Canadian national anthem and the American national anthem yesterday, but today we decided to change it up a bit. Apparently, Allie Austin did quite a fantastic job. You missed most of that during the pregame interview with Coach Fleeg now, as we're just a minute 25 away from getting this puck going. A few things to talk about that Coach Fleeg mentioned in his pregame interview. And we could talk about what they did well yesterday, the Bulldogs did, in the game against McGill. They came out strong in that first period despite losing 3-1 and being down 1-0 after that period. A lot of things impressed Coach Fleeg from that period, notably the play of Haddad Ferrara right in front of the goal, but also how the Bulldogs were able to possess the puck for extended amounts of time in that period. They really dominated possession there. Were able to set up inside the blue line with Jamie Gray, Aurora Kennedy, Kate Martini, obviously, and Tara Tomimoto. All of them doing fantastic jobs, centering pucks into the slot, trying to get some deflections off there. Nearly beat the McGill goalie, Salisbury, a few times. Salisbury was on her toes and was able to deflect them all the way in that first period, but a very good first period showing from the Bulldogs, and they're going to need to do something very similar to that here today against a Providence Friars team that knows how to score. They're coming in averaging a shade under 3 goals per game, 2.9, averaging 29.4 shots per game. We'll see if the Bulldogs can try to contain that offense here in the first period. Bulldogs fell 9-3 there. Obviously, they're hoping to not see a repeat of that now. Early action along. We see Haddad, the near boards, up to Moncion. Back now to Martini. Turn the puck right over now to Illy Kanan, number 10. Molly's up the near boards right in front of the bench of Providence. It's going to go back to Jamie Leanoff, 32, getting the start again. She's seen action in every single game so far this season. Rather has played every single minute of every single game until yesterday's game against McGill, which we saw Erin Callahan and Rachel Graham play sometime in the second and the third period. But Jamie Leanoff back in net for the Bulldogs. Up the far boards now with Nicole Anderson, number 20, wearing the assistant captain badge for her. Haddad in there hard on the near boards. We're going to have to see how physical she is today. She took a hard hit right there on the near boards late in the third period yesterday. Was unsure how much action we're going to see from her today, but out there getting the start as that's sticked aside by Leanoff now on the far boards, gathered by Ostrom. Tied up now with 2 Friars defenders here on the far boards. Ostrom still fighting for it. Picked up now with Zupon. Tries to find Haddad up on the far board. She's going to let that go by and get a first icing call of the game now. 18:51 to go here in the first period. For Providence, they're captained by Nicole Anderson, number 20, the senior, 6-foot senior from Jordan, Minnesota. 13 goals, 8 assists, 21 total points. She's leading the Providence Friars in 2 of those categories, goals and points. Really going to want to keep her eye on her all game long. Comes back now, Slatery. Near side, Murray gets her stick in the way of that one now. It's going to go up to Ostrom on the far boards. I don't think she saw that one. It's going now back behind Leanoff's cage. Bulldogs trying to get the clear. Instead, it goes right in the back of Leanoff's net. Murray still on the far side fighting for possession. Up against Bowie. Bowie torched the Bulldogs last year in this game for 2 goals. I'm sure the Bulldogs don't have a lot of fond memories from her. And, of course, Bowie, from her own perspective, is going to look to try to replicate that here today. Another stoppage of play now. 18-18 remaining. An offsides call going against the Providence Friars. Another player to watch out for if you're the Yale Bulldogs besides Nicole Anderson. Obviously, the freshman, number 10, Molly Illikainen. 7 goals, 7 assists, a total of 14 points on the season. The star freshman for this Providence team. Faceoff comes back to Dunbar. Quick shot pushed aside by Nina Riley. A good look there from the Bulldogs. Back to Kennedy's going to stick this one in, off, and there's in the back of that. We're going to have our first goal of the game. 18:08 to go. That one, I think, came off of Patricia McGauley. What a goal from her. Her first goal of the season puts the Bulldogs up to an early 1-goal advantage. Great team play, though, coming from the Bulldogs. That play was started by, I think, number 23, Aurora Kennedy. Dumped that one into the slot just inside the blue line, and we saw that in the first period yesterday's game. A lot of good things could come of that, and in this time, they finally got in the back of the net, as I believe that puck bounced right to McGauley, who was able to just knock that into the back of an open net. It's really a dream start for the Bulldogs, the exact opposite of yesterday, where the Bulldogs went down 1-0 just 30 seconds into play. I believe Providence was debating whether they wanted to try to challenge that, as it was unsure whether it came off of the skate of Patricia McGauley, but in the end, they elected not to challenge it because they would have to waste a timeout. So as it stands right now, 17:50 remaining here in the first period. Bulldogs up to a quick 1-goal advantage. Near boards now comes with Haddad right next to the official. Illikainen in there as well. She's going to come away with the puck. Scooped aside now by Monsignor up to Ferrara. Quick little break here. 2-on-2 for the Bulldog. Ferrara brings it in. Looks for a shot. Shot comes off a deflection to the far boards. Gathered by Providence now here on the near side. Taken through neutral zone with Frade. Is just going to dump this one back behind Leonoff's net. Leonoff out to scoop that one up as it comes all the way. Good long pass there to finds Ostrom here on the near side. She's tied up with the stick of number 7, Rebecca Morse. Micheletti near side for Providence. Matichuk in there to tie it up. Out of the Briar Patch comes Romanchuk. Back and forth play now, 3 minutes gone in this contest. Bulldogs look very good on offense here early on. Attempted shot going on the far side by Ostrom. Couldn't get that one off of her stick, though, and it comes back to the Friars. Center ice now with Vela deflected there by Martini. It comes back out. Hanrahan, a shot pushed over the net by Leonoff. Good save from her. Her first save of the day. Hanrahan on the far side. We get a stoppage of play as Bowie was fighting for that puck. Stoppage of play now with 16:24. Really a back and forth contest early on here at Ingalls Rink. The Bulldogs skate out to an early 1-goal advantage. Look very aggressive here early on, similar to their play yesterday, at least in the first period. See if they can keep this up and try to stymie this Providence offense that is very potent. We got a power play upcoming now for Providence. High sticking call on number 4, Tara Tomimoto, first penalty of the game. And this is where we heard Coach Fleek talk about it in the pregame. This is an area of issue for the Bulldogs. They've been pretty weak overall on their penalty kill, just 65.5% on the season. Gave up a power play goal yesterday to McGill. So not doing too effective on it. They were 50% on the kill yesterday. A good hard hit from Monsignor, though. A shot just wide of Leonoff's net, goes back behind, gathered with Hanrahan. Dumps it back to Virtue. Virtue looked to take a shot there, but whiffed on that one. Monsignor heads up play by her and just dumping that back in the offensive zone of the Bulldogs. For Providence, power play percentage of 12.2%, so they're not that effective, but the player you want to watch out for is number 20, Nicole Anderson. 6 power play goals on the year. That's 6 of the team's 11. A shot there right into the glove of Leonoff. A good hard shot coming from the Friars, but Leonoff did well to gather that one up in her glove. That one came from Corrine Bowie, 5'9" junior out of Edina, Minnesota. 6 goals on the year, looking for her 7th right there, but Leonoff up to par on that shot. Shot there by Anderson, deflected, scooped up now by the Bulldogs. 1:05 remaining on the penalty kill for the Bulldogs. Dumped back now to Anderson. Defended now by Murray. Murray does a good job winning that one away from her. Tries to clear the zone, can't get it out. Near side again with Murray. Dumps this one, trying to find Zupon here on the near boards. Does, but it comes right to number 7, Morse of the Friars. Shot there on the far side. Rather, that was a pass from Slattery. Now to Anderson. Dumps it here on the near side. Back to Morse. 35 remaining on the penalty kill. Morse, wind up shot there. Leonoff pushes that one aside with her pads. A good save from her. She's looked sharp here early on, pushing away the 3 shots she has faced. 22 remaining on the penalty kill. 14:45 to go in this period. Bulldogs have looked much better on the penalty kill than they did yesterday. A quick little turnover there on the offensive board by McGauley, but gives it right back to Virtue, skating up by the Providence boards. Official goes down here on the near side, and Bulldogs are able to get the clear yet again now. 5 to go on the penalty kill. And with that, the penalty has been killed by the Bulldogs. A good job by them not allowing the Friars to really set up that much offensive stability on their first power play opportunity of the night. Comes now with Illikainen on the near side. Illikainen still on the near side. Defended by McGauley. A centering feed there. Doesn't find anyone. It comes now with Dunbar. Dunbar tries to get the clear. Can't get it all the way out. With Virtue near side. Now to Thunstrom on the far side. Pursued by Kennedy. Bulldogs yesterday looked pretty good when they were able to set up their defensive position. The problems came when they were trying to transition back from the offensive side of the puck to the defensive side. As now we see Mock all alone, somehow manages to get a shot on net. Riley's going to wrap that one up. Nina Riley, 5'7" junior out of Lexington, Massachusetts, in her 6th game of the year, a record of 1-3-1, giving up a little over 4 goals a game, an 88% save percentage. Is a goalie that has given up goals so far this season, and right now the Bulldogs have torched her already for one. 13:28 remaining in this first period. Far side to Morse. Anderson trying to chase this one down on the far side. A hard challenge there sends Murray to her back. She's back up though as Monsignor skates away with the puck. Tries to find Haddad. Good job using her skate. That was Haddad's going to bring it into the offensive zone for the Bulldogs. Dumps back behind Riley's net. Monsignor in for the chase. Loses her stick though, and she's going to have to go back to the bench to get a new one. Here come the Friars up on the near boards. Micheletti turned that puck over to Farrar on the far side. Now to Haddad. A shot there. Just tipped. Monsignor was in to try to get there. That was Zupan. Couldn't get a solid footing there, but a good look coming there from the Bulldogs. Another turnover comes right to Ostrom. She wasn't able to handle that one, though. But early on, the Bulldogs in their forecheck getting a lot of turnovers in their offensive zone. We saw some success from that earlier in the season. Bulldogs using that to their advantage so far here today. Matichuk on the far side finds Zupan. Tied up now by Vela. Vela, Morse, and Romanchuk all tied up in there against Zupan. Matichuk in there as well. We've come to a bit of a stop here with 12:12 remaining. Still fighting for it are the 5 players out there on the far side, and eventually it's going to be scooped away by Morse, and play is going to resume now. Trying to find Anderson streaking up through neutral ice. Zupan now on the far boards against Vela. Gathered now by Matichuk. She's going to bring it into the offensive zone. Loses her edge and just going to give that one back to the Friars. Tamara's near side is going to try to get this one past Kennedy. She does now into the offensive zone as Bowie. Bowie gets a shot pushed aside by Lenov. That had a lot of pace from the wrister of Bowie. Tied up on the near boards now. Simpson in there as well as DeMar, number 9. Magali fighting for the Bulldogs. It comes to a Friars player, though. Quick little turn there. Somehow Lenov managed to get her skate on that one, push that one aside. But dangerous times upcoming here for the Bulldogs. Now as it's Pendleton on the near side. Mock trying to get the clear for the Bulldogs. She does. It was Waddell fighting for it on neutral zone. Now Slatery is going to pick this one up. Bit of a back and forth the last few minutes or so. Neither team really able to establish any sort of offensive possession. Just back and forth, a lot of neutral zone fighting for the puck. As Farrar is going to come out of the Briar Patch with it. Dumps it off to Martini. He's going to carry the zone on the far side. Haddad almost trips over a stick. Now there's 2 sticks down on the ice. Haddad fighting for it. It's going to come to Martini. Keeps the zone. Fighting against Simpson. That's the second time we've seen there on the far side. Bowie's going to come away with it, and there she is. Great piece of work there. Finds Anderson on the near side. Couldn't control that on the near side. Rather, that was number 21, Frade. Bulldogs are going to come away with it. Quick turnover, though. Gives the puck right back to the Friars now. Haddad with it on the near side. He's going to dump this one back behind Riley's net. That hockey stick really getting in the way of a number of players. They're just going to let that one lie there, though, as here comes Frade and the Friars. Good pressure there from the defense of the Bulldogs. Jamie Gray came away with that puck. Gray scored the 1 goal for the Bulldogs yesterday in the second period. A great shot coming from her just inside the blue line. Beat Salisbury for her only goal of the night, conceded by the Bulldogs. That was Jamie Gray's 2nd goal of the season and 2nd goal of her career. So we'll see what she can do here tonight. Looks good here early on defense. That's Gray again finding Ostrom on the far boards. Trying to find Matichuk. Couldn't get her stick to that puck. It's going to scoot all the way into the offensive zone of the Bulldogs now. 9:11 to go here in the first period. Riley out to push that one away from Dunbar. Dunbar, good piece of speed there to apply the pressure on the Friars goalie. Dunbar in again to scoop this one away. A good turnover from the Bulldogs. Comes with Tomimoto. Tomimoto yesterday very active on all portions of the ice yesterday from the offensive side, forcing turnovers, getting shots in there, and then defensively, has she's been the entire year a rock, causing timely turnovers for the Bulldogs and really just in the right place at the right time so many times for the Bulldogs. Her and Martini have done a fantastic job on that line together so far this season. Kennedy in her 7th game back now for the Bulldogs. Very good yesterday, very good in that Rensselaer game with 3 assists December 8th in the last league action for the Bulldogs. She really has just come on hot as of late after missing all of last season with an injury and 10 games this year with that same injury. So for the Bulldogs, they certainly love to have her back. It really has shored up their defensive line, again with Tomimoto, who missed all of last year as well. Their line this year has been much more consistent. We haven't seen that same injury bug that plagued them last year. But this year, that consistency has been a large reason why the Bulldogs have conceded almost 40% fewer goals than they did at this point last year. I mean, they're still giving up a lot more goals than I'm sure Coach Fleeg would like to see, but still a big improvement over last year's totals. And we see it right here, right now, where the Friars in last year's game went up 3-2 after the first period against the Yale Bulldogs. But right now, with 8 minutes to go in the first period, it's the Bulldogs holding a 1-goal advantage. And it's even unofficially on the shot tally, a 4 apiece for each team. Now, as Anderson's going to carry it into the near zone, rather Hanrahan, a shot scooped up from Leonoff. Nothing too difficult for her. Leonoff looks pretty alert so far here today. And a stoppage of play now, 7:49 to go in the period. A shot coming from Hanrahan, number 28, the sophomore, 5'8", out of Poolesville, Maryland. 7 goals on the year. Faceoff's going to come back to Gray. Fighting for it against Frade. Far side now, it's going to be Frade. Dumps it back to Kukowski. Now with Illikainen. Now that name, Illikainen, might be familiar to you as you see her try to fight for this puck now. It's going to be won by Gray, though. Illikainen has an older sister, a sophomore playing for Dartmouth, the defender up there. Wreaked havoc against the Bulldogs last year. Led the Dartmouth team with 5 assists for the freshman. A very hockey-oriented family, and Illikainen so far this year as a freshman, very active, 7 goals, 7 assists. Definitely the player you want to watch out for. She's uncharacteristic, very blonde hair, so you'll be able to see her easily from your computer screen. As now she has the puck there on the near side. Centering feed there, sticked away from Leonoff. Good job reaching out into that passing zone to push that one away. Harsh challenge there coming from Farrar. It's going to be won by Moncion. Back to Murray. Tried to find Alstrom, who had just hopped onto the ice from the bench. Couldn't find it, but it goes back to Murray and the Bulldogs. Hard forecheck coming from the Providence Friars now. Bulldogs can get a little rush here going as they find Zupan trying to get in on net. Zupan couldn't get a shot off, but a good look coming from her. 1-on-3 there for the Bulldogs, but Zupan had the edge, just couldn't get the shot off in time. She's fighting against Morse to get this puck back for the Bulldogs. Let's go to the far side now with Martini. Good hard challenge from her. Alstrom brings it back into the zone. Zupan, a shot there, pushed aside from Morse. Trying to keep the zone as Alstrom. It's not going to be able to stay in the zone. Alstrom comes to it. Held up by Thunstrom. Dumped into the defensive zone of the Bulldogs by the Friars, who are now on another aggressive forecheck, trying to get a turnover. Tomimoto, nice little spin there to get away from her defender. She's going to carry it all the way into the offensive zone of the Bulldogs. 5:45 remaining here in the first period. The Bulldogs are certainly in this match leading 1-0. Shot deflected off of Gray. Another stick down on the ice to be scooped up now by McGauley. It's Bowie tied up behind the net. It comes away back to the Bulldogs now with Dunbar leading the break. And a 1-on-3. She's just going to dump this one in and try to skate past all of the defenders of the Friars. She's able to do that. She's got a lot of speed, but now goes down hard. Comes right in front of the net. A shot there pushed aside by Riley. Came right to McGauley. McGauley in there again looking for her second goal of the night. A lot of chaos. Riley's going to finally jump on top of that one, but somehow, some way, Riley was able to push the shot from McGauley aside as McGauley just had that puck on a serving platter right in front of Riley's net. Couldn't convert there, but a lot of good opportunities here early on for the Bulldogs. Off the faceoff, back to the Bulldogs with Martini. Ferrara behind Riley's net. Dump this back behind for Haddad. Haddad looks very active here early on. Does not look to be suffering from that collision she took yesterday in McGill's game. Taken away by Morse. Pursued hard by Ferrara. Morse is going to dump this one up. Go back in the offensive zone of the Bulldogs now. 4:40 remaining. Near side with Virtue is going to try to find Friars player deep in front of Leonoff's net. Couldn't quite get to her. Able to get the clear of the Bulldogs, but not all the way as it comes with now with Pendleton. So Romanchuk is going to find number 10, Ilikainen. Moncion's going to win this puck back for the Bulldogs. Bulldogs have looked good here so far this first period in defending this Friars offense that has been quite potent. This Friars team is averaging 29.4 shots per game. So far unofficially here tonight, only 5 on Leonoff, but here comes Vela, big goal scorer for the Friars. Shot deflected off of Tomimoto's skate. Vela is not someone you want to allow the chance to score. 9 goals on the year to go along with 7 assists for the Friars. Now it's with Anderson. Anderson's been pretty quiet here early on in this first period. That's a testament to the Bulldog defense doing a good job shutting her down. Vela now finds Anderson. They work very well together as a line. Tomimoto up against 2 Friar defenders. Has Zupan in there as well to try to help her out. One by a Friars in on net. A shot pushed aside somehow by Leonoff. That was going back to her left, but she was going to her right. Somehow managed to get her pad down and push that one aside. It's going to be now won by Slattery. Slattery skates all the way in their offensive zone. Finally pushed aside from Gray. One now by Gray on the far boards. Up to Dunbar. Dunbar seen a lot of action here in this first period of play. Finds Mock. Mock brings the zone. Trying to get in on net. Taken down hard. And we're going to need a penalty upcoming there against the Providence Friars, I believe now. 2:59 remaining here in the first period. And it's going to be power play time for the Bulldogs. Their first opportunity of the day on the season. Just a 12.7% success rate. Coach League, you heard him in the pregame, hoping his team to be more successful on the power play. They get a chance here now. 2 minutes to go for Providence, killing 76.3% of the penalties they've had to kill. It's going to be a 2-minute body checking penalty on number 14, Victoria Virtue, the sophomore out of Walpole, Massachusetts. Bulldogs back deep in their own zone, trying to get something going. Yesterday had no luck on the 2 power plays they had against McGill. It's going to go into the zone, chased down by Ferrara on the near side. Couldn't get there in time. That was Morse instead who got a stick to it first. Morse again tries to get the clear. She does. For this Providence team, they're averaging almost 10 penalty in minutes per game. That's a full 2 minutes more than the Bulldogs have been averaging. So a lot of chances for this Friars team to have to kill a penalty. They've done a decent job of it so far this season, but for the Bulldogs, a very good opportunity to try to extend their lead. Tomimoto. Good hard forecheck coming from Anderson, and the Friars is going to win the puck back for Providence. Now against Tomimoto. Tomimoto just picked the puck right off of Anderson's stick, and here come the Bulldogs. 53 seconds remaining in the power play for the Bulldogs. Haven't been able to get anything going at all now as Anderson is going to try to find this puck on the near side. For Anderson, I believe she has already 1 shorthanded goal on the season. Providence has 3 of note, so with 35 seconds to go, it's Bulldogs really haven't gotten anything going on their power play. Now with Kennedy. Skates through her defender, brings it into the zone, but loses the puck, and it's just going to be fired right back out of there by a Friars defender. Now 18 remaining on the power play. With Murray. Defended by Baston on the far side. Baston's going to win the puck for the Friars. She goes down hard. Rather, that's Vela. Now Dunbar carries it through the neutral zone. Back to Vela. And with 1 minute to go here in the first period, the penalty has been killed by the Friars. Not the best power play in the world for the Bulldogs, but now down within 50 seconds, the Bulldogs are going to look to try to go into the break up by at least 1. They certainly don't want to concede like they did late in the second period against McGill. A shot there just wide of Leonoff's net. We're going to penalty, a stoppage of play upcoming. Now with 37.8 seconds to go in the first period, it's going to be a Bulldog headed to the sin bin for 2 minutes. It's 25. Kate Martini whistled for the penalty there, and the Bulldogs back on the penalty kill for the second time this period. For a team that's only averaging 4 penalties per game right now, they're at their second one. A quick shot there deflected wide. That was Tomimoto who got a stick on it. Martini gets 2 minutes for tripping. This penalty most likely is going to carry into the second period. The Bulldogs back on the penalty kill. To Moncion, up against Morse. It's going to get the clear for the Bulldogs with 7. Jamie Gray, it's going to go up and into the bench of Providence. Get a restart to the right of Leonoff's net. 16 seconds remaining here in the first period. Bulldogs up 1-0. I'm Paul Wasserman. You're watching Yale All Access. Bit of discussion going on now between the officials and the bench of Yale. So you restart now. Going to be taken by Ilikainen of Providence and Moncion of Yale. Comes back to Morse. A shot well wide of Leonoff's net. She had that one covered well. Hanrahan on the far side tries to win it. A Providence player goes down hard. Leonoff's down there right in front of her net. Still fighting for it. A couple players. No shot attempted there. Comes now with Morse. A shot there well wide just as the buzzer sounds to end the first period of play here at Ingalls Rink. The Bulldogs are going to go into the locker room up 1-0. Quite a first period of play from both teams. Bulldogs come out very strong, gets a goal early on, and have skated quite well through 20 minutes of play. We're going to take about a 10-minute break, come back, break down what we saw from both teams here in the first period, and get ready for the second period. Again, you're watching Yale All Access. I'm Paul Wasserman. Welcome back to Ingalls Rink. Paul Wasserman here. We're 5 minutes away from getting the start of the second period. Bulldogs up to a 1-goal advantage against the Providence Friars. An action-packed first period. Both teams equal in shots, 6 apiece. We're going to look at the breakdown quickly for both teams. For the Bulldogs, they're getting a lot of good looks right in front of Riley's net. That's where Patricia McGauley got her first goal just 3 minutes into this contest. A pass came from Aurora Kennedy, somehow squirted through the Friars' defense. I don't think Riley saw where the puck was. McGauley barely saw it in time to knock that one in the back of the net, but she did. And for McGauley, her first goal of the season, second of her career for the junior out of Canada. A fantastic start for her and the rest of this Bulldog team. On the other side, though, Providence have gotten a number of shots off. It's always been a weakness of the Bulldogs, giving up shots right in front of Leonoff's net. It's more of the same here today. Leonoff has done a good job defending those. There's a few coming from outside, just inside the blue line from the Friars as well. But a key thing to note that the Bulldogs have been doing very well is that they've been shutting down the big scoring threats of the Friars, notably number 20, Nicole Anderson, who has 13 goals on the year. We talked about her a lot in the pregame. She has 0 shots there in the first period, was silent on the first power play, was not active there in the first 37 seconds of the second power play. We'll see what she can do now as the Friars have another minute 23 to go on their second power play to start the second period. But she has been very silent for the Friars. A lot of their action has been coming from number 11, Corinne Bowie, who had 2 shots there in the first period. She had 2 goals, obviously, last year against the Bulldogs, has 6 goals on the year to go along with 7 assists. For there, another one, Beth Hanrahan also has 2 shots for the Friars, but really a back-and-forth period. Bulldogs did a good job coming out of the gates hard, not giving up an early goal, and really pushing the tempo and forcing the issue with a good hard forecheck. Create a lot of good turnovers in their offensive zone, leading to a couple good scoring opportunities. Didn't get a chance to discuss this in the pregame, but keys to the game I had written down. The Bulldogs needed to just stay in the game, stick around. Providence, we'll break down the number of goals they've given up and where they have come. Providence has only allowed 17 goals now in 21 games in the first period. Compare that with 54 goals coming in the second and third period combined, 28 alone in the third period. So this is a team that usually starts off strong but then tends to fade as the game goes on. For the Bulldogs, it's a very good sign that they were able to get one past Riley so early on. Nina Riley, the goalie of Providence. It can only get easier, you have to hope, for the Bulldogs, as the Friars are just going to get more and more tired, especially with this forecheck coming from the Bulldogs. It's no easy going for the Friars to carry that puck from their defensive zone into their offensive zone at all. Got to keep that up if you're the Bulldogs. One thing that I'm sure Coach Fleeg is stressing to his team in the locker room right now, is we're within 2 minutes before the start of this second period, are penalties. Last year, the Bulldogs were plagued by penalties. It really, when they're giving up 40 shots per game, you can't afford to be another man down if you can help it. So far this year, the Bulldogs have done a better job in not conceding as many penalties, averaging just under 4 per game. But so far here in this game, the Bulldogs have already conceded 2 penalties right now. It's Kate Martini, who's going to be in the box to start the second period, serving a 2-minute tripping offense for the Bulldogs. Bulldogs did a good job killing the first penalty. We'll have to see what they can do on the second one. The Bulldogs have had 1 power play so far tonight. Unsuccessful, really couldn't get anything going at all. It's been a problem all year long for the Bulldogs. They're going to need to try to work forward in that, as Providence gives up a lot of penalties per game, averaging almost 5 per game. They have over 210 penalties in minutes on the season. Contrast that with the Bulldogs, who only have 110 on the season. So we'll have to see what the Bulldogs can do there in the special teams, if you want to call it that. But so far on open ice at even strength, the Bulldogs have proven they've been up to form against a very solid Providence College Friars team, one that's sitting 3rd in the Hockey East standings. They're behind only number 5 Boston College and number 6 Boston University. So this is a very tough team. And right now the Bulldogs played a very good first period of action. They're going to need to try to keep it up for the next 40 minutes of play. Hope we get out of here with a victory. This would be a big moral boost going into the back into the ECAC play starting next week with St. Lawrence and Clarkson coming to town. Again, the Bulldogs have 12 more games to go in conference play. They're only 3 points out of the last spot for the playoffs. And if they continue to play like they did here in the first period, it's going to be a very exciting second half of this season now, as play is going to get started underway now as it's won back by Providence. On the ice for the Bulldogs, Tomimoto is going to try to chase this one down. She's joined by Kennedy with Moncion, Haddad, and Farrar out there as well. Tied up behind Leonoff's net with Frade back there. And it's Kennedy who's on all fours trying to protect this puck. Now she goes all the way down to the ground. Still fighting for it. Ilikainen in there as well. And finally we're going to get a stoppage of play. 19:28 to go. It's Kennedy fighting for that on all hands and knees. Was not going to give that puck up. Did a good job killing 35 seconds of the penalty on that one job there by Kennedy. Almost single-handedly took away a third of that penalty. As we're going to get Maddie Murray in now for Tomimoto. Face-off to be taken by Ilikainen of Providence. Moncion in the circle, sent out by the official. And Haddad in to take the face-off for the Bulldogs. One back by Providence now with Slattery. Haddad in there to make the clear. A good clearance from the Bulldogs. In on the forecheck is going to be Moncion to skate this one down. She wins that foot race. Tied up with Morse now as Providence looks to get back in their offensive zone. 30 seconds to go on the power play. Ilikainen dumps it in with Frade. Defended now by Murray. Back to Ilikainen. Murray tying up Ilikainen there on the near side. Comes now with Frade. Back to Slattery. To Morse now. Thought about the shot. Instead she's going to wrap this one in. Scooped up by Leonoff. That one was almost deflected by Frade, but Leonoff did a good job seeing through traffic to pick that one out of the air. 18:50 remaining in the second period. 13 to go on the penalty kill for the Bulldogs. Getting there in the first period, the Bulldogs were even on shots on goal, 6 apiece. We saw that yesterday against McGill. Then it went downhill from there. Right now the Bulldogs trailing 6-7 unofficially. A shot deflected there by Matichuk as she went down on her hands and knees to push that one aside. Goes out of the offensive zone. And Martini back out of the box. We're back at even strength now as Magali just onto the ice. Is going to win the puck for the Bulldogs. Back with Tomimoto. Is going to dump this into the offensive zone and retreat. Mock on the forecheck along with Magali. Mock is going to tie this one up on the near side. It's going to be one out now by Romanchuk. To the far side now it's going to be with Virtue. Bulldogs do a good job causing a turnover in their offensive zone. A centering shot there somehow pushed aside by Rice, I believe, as Mock tried to put that one on net. But here come the Friars. Dumped back. A shot over the net of Leonoff. Another shot there is going to be pushed aside. A hard angle there coming from Anderson, but hard play right now with 2:30 gone in the second period. It's been back and forth. Both teams getting a good look on net. Shots are even unofficially at 7 apiece. With Frade trying to carry it in the offensive zone. She does, but Moncion's there to tip that one away. And off of her stick now as it comes to with Haddad is going to clear the zone. Up to Farrar in the perfect place. Going to try to chase this one down, but Groth is going to get there before she can. Now with Groth. Trying to find Ilikainen on the near side. It goes back behind Leonoff's net. And we're going to get a whistle there. 17-19 to go in the second period. Icing call is going to send this one all the way back to the right of Riley's net. For Providence, they gave up 2 early goals the last time out for them. December 31st against Dartmouth. In Providence, they gave up 2 early goals en route to falling 4-2 to the Big Green. Here they gave up an early goal to Yale and are still trailing 1-0. There's a wraparound shot there from Farrar, pushed aside by Rice. It comes back to the Bulldogs with Haddad. Haddad dumps it back to Farrar now. Up to Martini inside the blue line. Over to Tomimoto. Pushed into the net. Pushed aside there by the Friars, but a good look there from Tomimoto. We saw a lot of that yesterday. Her first shot of the night so far, but a good look from her as her wrister had too much traffic to get all the way in on net, but a good look from her now as it comes with Martini. Back behind Riley's net. Up to Haddad. Haddad has looked very comfortable out there despite the hard hit she took yesterday and another early hard hit she took here in the first period, but shakes it off. She is very strong out there. Haddad now looks to get a shot in. Too much traffic. Couldn't get it past all of the Friar defenders, and it's going to go back into neutral ice. Scooped up now with Martini. Martini up to Ostrom, but we're going to get a whistle before she can carry it into the zone. An offside call against the Bulldogs. 16-18 remaining in the second period. Get a face-off upcoming. As for the Friars, we have number 7 Morse, Slatery, Bowie, Anderson, and Vela on the ice. For Providence, for the Bulldogs, it's going to be number 7 Jamie Gray, fresh on the ice, accompanied by Aurora Kennedy, Moncion, and Haddad. It's going to actually be a penalty kill, another one upcoming for the Bulldogs, their 3rd of the game. Really not the way they want this to be going down, as number 18 Hannah Ostrom is going to be whistled for the penalty for too many players on the ice. A good shot there, but pushed aside by Leonoff, and the zone has been cleared now by Haddad. The 3rd penalty of the night for the Bulldogs. Coach Fleeg is just biting his nails there on the sideline, as he does not want to give the Providence Friars any more opportunities to get shots on net than they already are going to generate at even strength. Bulldogs, though, have looked good on the penalty kill so far. The first 2, they did a good job not allowing the Friars to develop any sort of offensive stability there in the offensive zone. More of the same right now, as Bulldogs have killed over 35 seconds of this penalty. The Friars just can't get anything going right now, but here comes Morse to try to get things going. Is going to find up on the far side. Anderson carries it into the zone. Pushed back behind Leonoff's net. Dangerous shot right in front of Leonoff's net. Very good job by Leonoff, though, to come out strong and took that one right off of her chest protector. A hard shot as a dangerous opportunity for the Friars. That puck fell right in front of her net, but luckily for the Bulldogs, Leonoff was up to that challenge. Ilikainen to take the face-off for the Friars. One back by Romanchuk. Over to Virtue. Back to Romanchuk. A shot there deflected by Zupan. 55 to go on this penalty. Cleared the zone by Matichuk, who's going to follow this one up. It goes all the way back to Riley. He's going to stop this and give it to her fellow Friar Romanchuk. Up to Virtue on the far side. He's going to carry the zone. Dumped back now. It comes to Freda. Shot there. Leonoff out of the net, and it comes right to Ilikainen, who calmly puts that into the open net. One apiece now for Providence. Ilikainen, her 8th goal of the year. Leonoff was out of her cage. She had gone to her left, and it just fell right to Ilikainen. And Molly Ilikainen put that one away calmly for the Friars. And with 14:53 to go here in the second period, it's a 1-1 game. And that's what Coach Fleeg was talking about in the pregame. Really just not the best job on the season the Bulldogs have been doing on the penalty kill. Right now they're 2 of 3 on the penalty kill, but bit hard there. That's a second power play goal they've conceded now in as many days. And we're just 25 minutes into this contest. The Bulldogs are going to need to try to regroup. We'll see how they respond to that goal. Yesterday, after conceding the goal just 30 seconds into that match, they came out strong, fought, eventually got the equalizer midway through the second period. Right now, it was the Bulldogs who were up 1-0 for much of the first period, and right now they're going to have to respond, now being tied 1-1 to this Friars team. Comes now with Vela on the near side. Shot well wide of Leonoff's net. Crumbs all the way up to Mock. Going to get the clear as it comes up with Moncion. Moncion carries the zone for the Bulldogs. Waits for fellow Bulldogs to join her, but loses it off of her edge of her stick, and it could go all the way back to center ice with Tomimoto. Hard pressure from Vela, and here comes Anderson and the Friars. A shot there from a fair bit of distance, and Leonoff saw that one all the way into her net. And if you're a Friars fan out there, this probably shouldn't come as too much of a surprise for you. The Friars are going to score goals. We know that. The Friars have only been shut out once this entire season, and that came early on this year, October 13th at number 7 Mercyhurst. They fell 5-0 there, but other than that, almost 2 months ago, the Friars have not been shut out of any other game. So for the Bulldogs, they had to know they were going to concede at least one. It's going to be a question of who scores the next goal and who's going to be able to dominate possession, as this second period is almost halfway through. It's a very important period for both teams, as they're going to look to try to establish dominance. For the Bulldogs yesterday, they had a good, strong first period, but then fell apart there in the second period as that shot goes over Leonoff's head and net. With Matichuk now, they had a good first period, but fell apart really there in the second period, ended up falling 3-1. So for the Bulldogs now, they need to try to get a stronger period from them here and go in the final 20 minutes where the Friars have been vulnerable and try to skate to at least a tie, if not a victory, here at Ingalls Rink. Possession now with Ostrom to Kennedy. Centering feed there into the slot. Tried to find Matichuk. Couldn't get there in time. So now it's just going to come to Hanrahan trying to chase this one down, but it's going to be Gray that gets there first. And we're going to see a whistle now. 12:54 remaining in the second period. Icing call upcoming against the Friars. And for the Friars, that was the 12th goal of the season on the power play. They're only scoring at a 12.2% effective rate, but got one here tonight against the Bulldogs, and it's a 1-1 game here at the Whale. Center feed there off of the stick of Haddad to the right of Riley's net. Fighting for it right in front of the Friars bench. Free for all. It's going to be now won by Kakowski. Swedes right by Gray. Back behind Leonoff's net, pursued by Kennedy. A quick little turn there is going to find Virtue. Back to Ilikainen now and Kakowski. Gray fighting for it. It's going to be with Ilikainen, the goal scorer. Shot there, tipped aside. That one came off of a deflection off of Haddad's stick, I believe. That one's going to be a collision between Gray and Kakowski, and it's going to push the puck up and over the boards. We're going to see a face-off to the left of Leonoff's net. 12:09 remaining here in the period. Again, for the Bulldogs, the costly theme of the night has been 4 penalties against the Bulldogs, 8 penalty minutes. Gave up the power play goal by Molly Ilikainen, and that's why we're tied up here at Ingles, 1 apiece. Bulldogs going to need to try to play a cleaner match the rest of this game. They're going to hope to try to come away with some more points. Comes now with Anderson. Shot there is going to be deflected by Zupan. Skitters to the right past Leonoff's net. On the far side, it's going to be won by Tomimoto and the Bulldogs. Now with Mock. Good pass there, trying to find Decker. Decker couldn't really hold on to that one. It goes back behind Riley's net. Mock is going to gather it on the far side. Back to Decker. Won now by Virtue. It's going to go all the way back towards Leonoff's net. Gathered by Martini. Little fancy play off the boards now. It comes to Monsione. Brings it into the zone. Shot pushed aside by Riley. It's going to be gathered now by Haddad. But a fancy bit of work there from Monsione to put that puck off the boards and back to her own stick and get in there for a shot. As right now, unofficially, Providence has opened up a 12-8 advantage on shots. Here comes Ferrara. Is going to fire this one into Riley's net. Riley couldn't hold on to that one. It dumped dangerously right in front of her. Another shot there is going to be pushed aside, this time by number 8, Romanchuk. The Bulldogs trying to get back there. Now they're going to have to get back as it comes with Hanrahan. Couldn't get enough force on that shot, but a dangerous opportunity there. She was in on net. Leonoff did well to stand her ground. Kept in the zone by the Friars. It comes now with Hanrahan. Back behind to Buey. Zupan ties up Buey. Comes with Ilikainen. Fancy bit of footwork there. Tries to get a shot off right in front of Leonoff's net. Can't get it there in time. Ferrara fighting for possession. Stolen off of her stick, though, by Ilikainen as both players go down hard. And we're going to get a whistle upcoming there. 10:18 to go here in the second period. And we're going to see a penalty upcoming against one of the two teams. Didn't see exactly who. It's going to be another penalty upcoming against the Bulldogs. This time number 12, Ferrara. I believe 2 minutes for tripping. The 5th of the night for the Bulldogs. Really just not the way. They're halfway through this game and already 5 penalties on the night. It's making it very tough on their defense to be this short-handed as Leonoff's going to scoop that shot off. A quick shot upcoming there from Buey. But it's a tall task that's been being asked of the penalty kill unit of the Bulldogs as well as Leonoff to try to defend another 2 minutes of penalty as they have just been bitten by the penalty bug here tonight. Now with Matichuk is going to clear the zone. Monsione a bit of a soft forward check. We get Kakowski to restart things now for the Friars. Errant pass there, couldn't find Anderson, but Kennedy couldn't get the clear. Back behind the net. It's going to come with Buey. Buey against Matichuk. Drops it now to Slattery. Cross ice to Morse. Back to Slattery. Shot in there, pushed aside by the pads of Leonoff. Gathered again by the Friars. Another shot pushed aside by Leonoff right in front of her net. Still fighting for it. is Morse of the Friars. Morse is going to come away with that, but a hectic play right in front of Leonoff's net. Morse back to Vela. That shot deflected off of Matichuk. Back to Anderson, who again has 6 power play goals on the year, but has been silent for the most part here tonight. A shot there by Morse, pushed aside by Leonoff. 45 seconds remaining on the penalty kill. Back to Morse. Hanrahan in for the Friars now. To Slatery. Shot there wide as comes right to the Friars player. Couldn't get that one on net. That was Bowie. Hit the net, but it was the wrong side of the net for the Friars as Moncion took that hard off of her knee. It looked like she's still down. And we're going to stoppage a play there as Moncion took a hard shot from Morse. And she's still down on the ground. 26 seconds to go on the penalty. 8:44 remaining in the second period. For the Bulldogs are doing a better job here on their 5th penalty kill of the night, if you can believe that. 5 penalties already, and we're only 32 minutes through this game. Bulldogs doing a better job there on that penalty kill. Moncion, a big part of that. She did a good job taking that one right off of her knee. I believe she appears to be okay. She's up and is skating off with some assistance from Matichuk and the trainer of Yale. She's going to be checked out. We're going to see Patricia McGauley, number 21, the goal scorer of Yale. She's going to come into the game now for the Bulldogs to try to kill the remaining 26 seconds of this penalty. Illikainen to take the face-off for the Friars. One back to Romanchuk. Over to Slatery. Back to Romanchuk. A shot pushed aside by Leonoff. Leonoff has seen a number of tough shots coming from just inside the blue line. She's done a good job seeing almost all of them. Virtue's going to keep the zone for the Friars. Over to Romanchuk. Tried to get a shot off there, but couldn't handle that puck as both her and Zupan get tied up. Both of them go down hard. Hanrahan keeps the zone. 2 seconds to go on the penalty. Back to Hanrahan. Tried to get a shot off there. Not enough power. And in for the Bulldogs is Dunbar, and we're back at even strength with 8:08 remaining here in the second period. Centering feed there. Couldn't find a Friars player. It's going to be back to Virtue. Magali wins that puck back for the Bulldogs. Ill-advised pass there. It's going to go right in front of Leonoff's crease. Cleared away by Zupan. Now on the near boards with Illikainen. Fighting for it is Magali as well. A centering feed there. Couldn't find the stick of Micheletti, but a dangerous play for the Bulldogs. Martini's going to win it now. Goes right back to the Friars. Deflected there. Almost beat Leonoff. Somehow she was able to be in the right place. Bulldogs can't seem to get it clear. It's tied up right in front of Leonoff's net. Lost her stick, but was still in position. That one went wide of her net. With Anderson, the Bulldogs need to get it clear here as they've been in their defensive zone for far too long. Now they're able to do it, but it goes right back with the Friars, who can bring it right into the zone with Virtue on the far side. And Micheletti, centering feed there, couldn't find Friars player, but still fighting for it is Anderson. That shot goes wide of Leonoff's net. Back to Virtue on the far side. Pass deflected off of Magali's skate. Over to Zupan on the near side, and there's a puck cleared again. But right now, the last 6 or so minutes of Bulldogs have been on the defensive, fighting for all of their worth to not concede another goal here in the second period, as it's 1 goal apiece, 6:40 remaining in the second period. Errant pass there is going to be picked off by the Bulldogs, carried into the zone by Farrar. Now Anderson couldn't handle that one. Comes now with Morse. Good little poke there away by Moncion, won by Haddad. Over to Farrar, trying to find Haddad again. Goes back to Gray, goal scorer of yesterday's game. Farrar now over to Moncion. Moncion skating away from that puck. Anderson ties her up there on the far side, and we're getting another tie up there. But a little bit better from the Bulldogs. Have been able to try to establish. Haddad now gets a little shot there. Riley tracked that one well. Still fighting for it on both teams. Came out again. A shot there by Gray. Pushed aside. Still fighting for it. And they're going to whistle that one off. A lot of commotion right in front of Riley's crease. A good couple looks there from number 10, Haddad. And then Jamie Gray skated in on that one, looking for her second goal in as many days. But couldn't get in there. But in the last 40 seconds or so, the Bulldogs have done a good job switching the tide of possession, have established themselves on the offensive side, have had a couple good shots in on Riley. Unofficially now, the Bulldogs trailing the shots 12-22, but got 2 good ones there from Haddad and Gray. trying to keep it in their zone, but unable to do so. All the Bulldogs. Here come the Friars. In on the center feed there, scooped somehow by Leonoff. It's going to go in the back of the net, but whistled off just before. I think the goal came off of its moorings, and they're going to blow that one away. A lucky call for the Bulldogs, though, as the Friars were on a 2-on-1 rush. Leonoff did a good job making that first save, but it sort of popped right back up over her, and the Friars knocked it in. They're going to whistle that one off, though, as I think the goal became loose. We're going to wait to hear the official announcement. The net had come loose, so they're going to whistle a no goal there. Lucky for the Bulldogs now. 5:20 remaining in the second period. A dangerous opportunity there that they barely survived due to the loose goal. Trying to find Tomimoto on the near side. It's going to be won instead by Micheletti. Well, that was hand-to-hand, but it's going to be stolen by Tomimoto. Trying to find a streaking Matichuk on the far side, but it's going to go all the way back behind Riley's net for a whistle and another icing call now. 5:02 to go here in the second period. And much like yesterday's game, the Bulldogs looked very strong in that first period, but finally the Friars have seemed to have found themselves and have skated out to 16 shots unofficially here in the second period. Leonoff has turned aside 15 of them. A very good period for her, but the Bulldogs need to try to reestablish their offensive possession. Comes now with Kakowski. Ilikainen's going to carry the zone for the Friars. Dump now to Frade. In on Leonoff, and we're going to whistle stopping that action. We'll have to see what for, as Kukowski was right in front of Leonoff's net. Might be a crease infraction. Get a restart now. Face-off upcoming in the neutral ice, taken by Ilikainen and Monsione of Yale. One back by the Bulldogs. Comes to Gray. Is able to clear the zone, but goes right back to Ilikainen. With Gray now over to Kennedy. Hard forecheck there from Kakowski. He's going to keep it in the offensive zone of the Friars. Gray up against Frade. Now to Ferrara. Into Haddad. Try to get there, but it was number 14, Virtue, getting there just before to poke that one away. But Ferrara's going to win this puck now on the far side. Up against Virtue again. Haddad in there trying to win the puck for the Bulldogs. She does. But Anderson in there hard, and she's the tallest player by far on the ice, a 6-foot senior, using all of her size there to win that puck away for the Friars now as it comes with Frade. A centering feed there, couldn't find anyone, but it's going to go back to Frade, now to Morse. Shot there, pushed aside. That was Pendleton. That was just wide of Leonoff's net. A lot of time there from Pendleton to wind up her slap shot and get that one in. Just a little too wide there. Micheletti looked to try to get that in on goal. Controlled now by Vela. Dumps it for Pendleton. A whiff on that shot, and heads-up play from Haddad to poke that away, and it comes to Monsione on the far boards. A wrapping shot from Vela, sticked aside from Leonoff. In on shot goal was Micheletti. Leonoff did a good job gathering that one in her glove, not giving up a rebound. With 3:09 remaining in the second period, Bulldogs still in a 1-1 tie against the Providence Friars. But a tough second period here at Ingalls. The Bulldogs have been on the defensive side for the vast majority of this period, have already conceded one goal on the penalty kill, and have been fortunate not to concede another one, as we had a goal waved off because the goal had become loose. Bulldogs have managed 6 shots unofficially in the period, but have conceded 19. For a Friars team that's averaging just over 29 shots per game already. They're at 25, as here comes Bowie in on net, and she's going to beat Leonoff there. Bowie took that all the way through the offensive zone. Fancy bit of stick work there, and slotted that just to the right of Leonoff, giving the Friars a 2-1 advantage. 7th goal of the year for Corrine Bowie. Again, had 2 goals last year against the Bulldogs. Gets another one here tonight. Puts the Friars up 2-1, and for Bowie, she just She just took that puck all the way through the Bulldogs defense as if they weren't even there. Went right through the heart of the defense and beat Leonoff with a nice move to Leonoff's right. 2-1 Friars. And here come the Friars again. Another hard shot from Illikainen pushed aside by Leonoff. And a tough period here for the Bulldogs. 2:30 to go in this period. They're just going to hope to try to get out of this one with as minimal damage as possible. Illikainen in on the chase against Murray, but it's going to be Leonoff far from her net. Is going to try to get that one out of her zone. A centering feed tries to find Illikainen. Matichuk up to the challenge. Pushed aside by Ostrom is going to clear the zone. Kukowski here on the near side is going to dump this one in. Gray couldn't get it on her first attempt. Is going to get it now on her second try. Comes up to Haddad and Virtue. Vela carries it into the zone. A errant play there is going to put it right in front of Leonoff's net. Back to Vela. 1:37 to go in the second period. Anderson. Pendleton. That was Slattery who couldn't get a shot off in time. And for the Friars, their leading goal scorer, Anderson, has been very quiet all game long, but they haven't needed her output. We've seen a lot of good action coming from, obviously, Bowie getting that goal there. And Illikainen getting her 8th of the season. Dumped back behind Riley's net. It's going to come to Ferrara. Tied up by Anderson and Pendleton. It's going to now be won by Haddad. Dumps it back to Kennedy, who had a very active game yesterday but has been held relatively in check by the Friars team so far here today. Kennedy looks to try to get something on, but Vela did a good job just causing a doubt in Kennedy's mind. Just shut down that shooting lane. Vela did a good job clearing the zone for the Friars now. 44 to go in the period. Slattery now over to the Friars. Brooke Simpson's going to carry the zone. Tries to get a shot in there. Push aside. That was Hanrahan who got a tip on it. A whiff there from the Friars defender. Had a good look on net, but here come the Bulldogs. A 2-on-1 led by Kennedy. She's got Zupan in there. A shot by Kennedy. Gloved by Riley right into her chest pad. 21.6 to go in the period. A good shot there from Kennedy off of a dangerous opportunity on the other end of the ice by the Friars. Kennedy had Zupan there right in the slot. Elected instead to take a shot. Not a bad decision from Kennedy. She had a good angle, took a good shot, but Rice was up to that challenge. Shot there from Gray, saw a bit of a deflection, but Riley finally pushes that one aside now. 14 remaining. Ferrara on the far boards, goes back to Gray. Over to Martini. Martini looks to take a shot, takes a shot, deflected by the Friars. It goes back to Martini with 3 to go. Martini tries to get one last shot. A hard play there. No whistle called as a horn blows and the light goes off. And that's going to send us into the second intermission. A hard play there from Martini against 21 Haley Frade. Frade still down on the ice. It looked like Martini caught her right in the wrist. No penalty there against Martini, though. Lucky for the Bulldogs. They've already conceded 5 here tonight. They're going to go into the locker room trailing 2-1. A tough second period there. They conceded 2 goals. We're going to take a 10-minute break and try to break down that second period, see where the Friars went right and what the Bulldogs need to do to try to get back in it there in the third period. We'll be back in about 10 minutes. You're watching Yale All Access. Well, welcome back to Ingalls Rink. Paul Wasserman here, 5 minutes away from the start of the third and final period. Providence out to a 2-1 advantage after a big second period by the Friars. They dominated it from start to finish, got 2 goals on the way in the midst of putting 22 shots on Leonoff. I mean, it was unreal. When Leonoff finishes with 20 saves in the period, I mean, that's an unreal total, and you can't see this breakdown at home. I'm doing my best to describe it to you, but this breakdown, it just looks, it's covered in dots of where the shots came from. They came from everywhere, from the outside, from the inside, but there's a good 10 or 11 shots 4 or 5 feet away from Leonoff's net. I don't know how Leonoff did what she was able to do in turning aside 20 of the 22 shots she faced, because a lot of them were point blank. A lot of them were when the Bulldogs were a man down, which means that they have to crunch in. There's a lot of players right in front of the net, but somehow Leonoff has managed to keep the Bulldogs in this game despite allowing 2 goals in that period. All honesty, it could have been a lot more, and it probably should have been a lot more. One call in particular, the Bulldogs got lucky on the net came off of its hinges, and a goal was waved off because the net was off of its frame. That being said, though, the Friars have skated out to a 2-goal advantage. They got one on the power play. Bulldogs gave up 3 penalties in the period alone. A tripping penalty that carried over from Martini, too many players on the ice that was served by Ostrom, and then a checking call on Ferrara. Just unfortunate for the Bulldogs. They have been plagued by penalties here tonight. 8 penalty minutes so far, and we got another 20 minutes of action upcoming here at Ingalls. Again, I'm Paul Wasserman. You're watching Yale All Access. For the Bulldogs, though, you got to look at some positives here, and there are a few positives to mention. Namely, one, the Bulldogs have managed to get off 14 shots on Rice here tonight. I mean, Bulldogs averaging just over 18 per game, already 14 here tonight. They've gotten a few quality looks, fewer in this second period on Nina Riley, but Riley has made a couple of good saves. The Bulldogs in that second period, however, just very little time with the puck in their offensive zone. They were for too long. They were on their own defensive side, forced to react to the play of these Providence Friars that came out strong there in that second period, led by Corinne Bowie with 3 shots in the period, has 1 goal and a total of 5 shots. Molly Illikainen with the other goal in the period had 2 shots there. Rebecca Morris, the defender, had a few good slap shots from the outside. And Nicole Anderson, the star of the team, number 20, got 2 shots in that period as well. But by no means are the Bulldogs out of it. It's anyone's game at this point. It just is a question of who can come out stronger here to start the third period. It's a question of periods, as it was yesterday. Which Bulldog team is going to take the ice? Is it going to be the one we saw come out strong and dominate long periods of possession in the first period? Or is it going to be the second period team that came out and was on its back heels from the moment the puck dropped? They had a lot of penalty minutes to kill and just, conceded 28 shots, 38 shots attempted by Providence. I mean, that's a astounding statistic. I mean, the Bulldogs need to try to cut that number down, and the best way for them to do that is by establishing themselves on the offensive side of the ice. For the Bulldogs now, looking into the second half of their season, after this game, they're going to start ECAC play back up next week with a home games against Clarkson and St. Lawrence. St. Lawrence is going to come in here Friday night. That's a 7 p.m. drop. We're going to carry that live here on Yale All Access. And then Saturday, Clarkson, a 4 p.m. start to that game. 2 really big games for the Bulldogs. They're only 3 points out of a 7th and 8th place tie between Princeton and RPI. So Bulldogs very much in it. Their last ECAC game was before the break on December 8th. They lost 4-3 to Rensselaer, but the night before they got a hard-fought tie against Union, 1-1 there. So the Bulldogs by no means are out of any playoff hunt. We heard Coach Fleek talk about it in the pregame, how making the playoffs would be a win for the squad this season through all they've gone through the past few years. That's their goal this year, is to make it to the playoffs. They certainly have the chance to get there. They're by no means out of it. They just need to start get hot for a couple games and try to get a few big wins and ties. This game obviously does not count for the ECAC standings, but a big test here against a very good Hockey East opponent in Providence. And if Providence obviously a very different team than they had here last year, But for the Bulldogs, a much different story than the game we saw last year in which they fell 9-3. That's not the case here tonight, despite giving up a number of shots already, 28 the total here through 2 periods. The Bulldogs still in this game 2-1. Now as the Bulldogs are going to go from left to right on your computer screen, the Providence Friars in their black sweaters going from right to left. It's going to be one now with Haddad on the far side, carries it into the offensive zone, but gathered away by Illikainen, the star of the second period for the Friars. Forecheck there from Haddad, almost forced a turnover. It's going to be back to Pendleton. Cross rink pass there is going to come out to Kakowski. Gets a shot in on Leanoff. A bit of a deflection there coming off of a Bulldog player, and Leanoff there to gather that one up. Leanoff has looked very, very strong here tonight. Already a number of saves, a number 40-plus saves games this season, has 505 saves going into tonight's game. That's good for third in the nation with 505. She's going to add to that tally here tonight. Another shot seen late by Leanoff, but in the end got her pad down in time and was able to fall on that one. 2 quick shots from the Friars, 2 quick saves by Leanoff. Zupan to take the faceoff for the Bulldogs against Vela of the Friars. Quick shot to the right of Leanoff. Gray fighting for possession. Romanchuk is going to dump this back behind the boards. Gray up to Matichuk. Romanchuk again, back behind Leanoff's net. Murray's going to fight for this against Micheletti. Now with Anderson on the far side, it's tied up by Ostrom. Now Gray to Ostrom. Morris is going to knock this back to the near side, and Micheletti. Micheletti controls a centering feed there. Couldn't get into the slot and find Vela. Back behind the boards with Slatery. Carries it into the middle of the ice. And that portion of the area where we see Zupan, now Gray, right in front of Leanoff's net between the 2 face-off zones, we saw a lot of shots there from the Friars, 12 to be exact there in the second period. The Bulldogs need to try to keep that zone clear as another shot's going to be pushed aside by Leanoff. For the Friars, they have a lot of size, though. They definitely have a size advantage against the Bulldogs, and that was really evident in the second period as they were able to just muscle their way into right in front of Leanoff's net. Bulldogs not big enough to really force them out of Leanoff's crease. And it paid off for the Friars. They were able to get 2 goals in on Leanoff, all coming right inside, right in front of her net. Somehow the Bulldogs need to try to dig deep, keep the zone clear to the best of their ability, stay out of the penalty box, and if they're able to do those 2 things, it should be a much more even third period. At least it should be one that doesn't see the Friars attempt 38 shots in the period. Unable to handle that was the Friars, and it goes back to neutral ice. Back behind Leanoff's net. It's going to be one now by Gray. Gathers it, dumps it back to Murray. Past the linesman. Pursued by Simpson. To Virtue, a shot there, found Hanrahan right in front of Leanoff's net, but good defense from Gray. Didn't allow Hanrahan to turn and get a shot in on Leanoff. Here comes Gray and the Bulldogs up through neutral ice. It's going to be scooped in by Dunbar. Shot pushed aside by Riley. Good shot there from Dunbar. First of the period for the Bulldogs. Here come the Friars, though, back on offense. It's going to be carried in the offense zone by Bowie. Very active in the second period, and again here early on in the third. Tied up on the far corner is Kennedy. It's going to scoot out. Taken by Tomimoto and the Bulldogs, and up and off the boards and cleared by the Bulldogs. Dunbar into chase. Referee's going to stop that one, though. Dunbar couldn't get that in time. It's going to go all the way back to the right of Leanoff's net for another icing call. 16:58 to go in the third period. Bulldogs trail 2-1. Magali taking the face-off for the Bulldogs. One back by the Friars. To Pendleton now. A shot in there. Kakowski couldn't get her stick on it. She tried, was quite close to getting there, but in the end went well wide of Leanoff's net. And here come the Bulldogs trying to get it into their zone. Can't do that. Dunbar's just going to fire this one back behind Riley's net. Riley out to gather that one. Mock in on the check. Frayed up to Illikainen. There's a good hard forecheck coming from Ferrara. beaten by Ilikainen. Here come the Friars. Carrying it in the offensive zone is Ilikainen. Dumps it back behind Leonoff's net. It's tied up in the net. Now up over to Ferrara. Finds Haddad. The Bulldogs, they've been able to clear their zone a few times, but have never really been able to establish themselves in the offensive zone. A lot of giveaways there in the neutral ice. Now as it comes with Martini on the far side. Martini against Anderson. Still going is Martini up against Anderson. Here come the Bulldogs with Moncion, comes away with it with now Haddad, a 2-on-2. Here comes a 2-on-3. Haddad's going to dump this in. Thought Ferrara was going to give chase that a little harder than she actually did. And the Friars are going to regain the puck. Now 15:35 remaining in the period. To Tomimoto, up to Haddad. In front of the Providence bench. We're going to get a whistle there. 15:30 remaining in the third period. We're going to face off at center ice. Terreri, the official to make the drop here tonight. It's going to be Anderson to take the face-off against Zupan. One back by Zupan and the Bulldogs to Tomimoto. Over to Kennedy. Errant pass there is going to be scooped up by Anderson. Carried it into the zone, but not before Micheletti entered the zone before the puck. We're going to get an offsides call, I believe, against the Friars and a face-off upcoming on the far side. Taking it for the Friars, number 11, Corinne Bowie. Zupan takes it for the Bulldogs, one back for Providence. Slattery dumps it into the zone, knocked out of the air by Tomimoto. She's going to give chase and win that chase. Pursued by Bowie. Dumps it up to Matichuk. Matichuk takes a hard push in her back, but back up on her feet, fighting for it. She's going to win this puck against Virtue. Zupan in there as well. A harsh challenger right in front of the bench of Providence. It's going to come now up to 14 Virtue. Better play here early on, 5 minutes into this period, by the Bulldogs, not allowing the Friars to really establish themselves in their offensive zone. It's been much more back and forth. The Bulldogs haven't really been able to establish themselves in their offensive zone yet, but it's been a good improvement of play from them from the second period. Mock now, a wraparound, look to get a shot in on goal, scooped away by Virtue, and she's going to fire this all the way down to Zupan's net, and there's the whistle for an icing call, 14:20 to go in the game. For Providence, they're losers of 4 straight, though 2 of those losses came to the same team, number 6 BU, and the third loss came to Harvard, 8-1, number 4 ranked Harvard, so not a tough schedule there. And then the fourth and final loss came on December 31st against Dartmouth, 4-2. For the Bulldogs, officially losers of 1 straight. That would be back December 8th in a 4-3 loss against Rensselaer. The game before that, they tied Union 1 apiece. Obviously, yesterday's game against McGill did not count officially, but for both teams, just trying to shake off the rust before they return to conference play. Both teams returned back to practice at about the same time. For the Bulldogs, traveled back here to New Haven on the 27th. As a shot there going to come up to Ferrara, pushed aside by Riley. A good look for the Bulldogs. Clear the zone by the Friars now as it comes with Tomimoto. For the Bulldogs, they returned to practice on the 28th. For the Friars, it was the 27th. Both teams shaking off the rust. Look pretty active here so far today. Much better bit of play from the Bulldogs here in the third period. 7 minutes gone. Possessed by the Friars. Morris wrap around there, look to get a shot on Leanoff. Couldn't get there as it comes back to Hanrahan. Thought about a shot. She's going to take that. Sticked aside by Leanoff. Good save to her right. Now fought for by Ilikainen and won by the Friars. Near side tie between Pendleton and Moncion. Back to Ilikainen. Finds Kakowski. A shot pushed aside by the skate of Leanoff. A good save from her. She has really been sharp here tonight. Pendleton now on the near side. Puts a shot in there. Came off the stick of 21 Frade, but just wide of Leanoff's net. I believe Frade had Leanoff beat. There's a bit of an opening right there to Leanoff's left, but Frade's push went just wide of Leanoff's net. We're going to stoppage of play. 12:56 remaining in the third period. An icing call Goes all the way back to the defensive zone of the Bulldogs. Face-off upcoming between Vela and Ferrara. 12 versus 12. It's going to be one back by the Friars, but Tomimoto in to try to scoop this away from Anderson. She can't get there in time. Now Vela pushed hard. No foul there. It's going to come up to Pendleton. A shot pushed aside by Leonoff. Good job by her. Bulldogs again. That shot caroomed right off of the back of the net, right in front of Leonoff's net. Barely got there in time, but she did and was able to pounce on that. You know, I'm sounding like a broken record here tonight, but very sharp from all angles Leonoff has been. That last one came off the back of the net, behind her net, popped in front, right in front of her crease, and she was able to see that barely in time to push that one aside and then pounce on that for another save, her 30th unofficially on the night. Bulldogs, though, have not been able to clear their zone really at all. It's been a struggle every time they've tried to clear it, and when they have been able to clear it, they haven't been able to establish possession. It's been a dump and chase kind of night for the Bulldogs these last two periods. As now Martini wins the puck for the Bulldogs, but gives it right back to the Friars. And up to Vela on the far side. It's going to carry it into the offensive zone. Good job by Martini to take that one off of her stick. Kept in by Virtue, though, and now cleared up to Zupan. 11:50 remaining in the third period. Bulldogs fighting for that second goal to bring this game to a 2-2 tie right now. As it stands, they trail 2-1, being outshot 33-16. It's been a rough night for the defense of the Bulldogs, but Leonoff has been up to the challenge, keeping them in it to this point. Simpson's going to come away with that one. A centering pass didn't find anyone. Now Murray finds McGauley up on the far side. The score of the first goal comes right in front of the net. Riley was able to cover that one up right before Dunbar got to it with her stick. A good shot from McGauley. An even better opportunity there for Dunbar as that save from Riley fell right in front of the net, but Riley able to pounce on that at the last moment. A big save from the goalie. Back to Gray now. A wide open shot there, pushed aside. That shot came from Moncion. Better play last 30 seconds or so from the Bulldogs. Haddad fighting to win this puck back against Slattery. Tied up again on the far boards. One now by Morse. A hard forecheck coming from Ferrara. She doesn't want to give that puck up any easier than she has to now as it's back to Gray. Haddad taken out, no call there. It goes back to Morse and the Friars. Ran into the official there and almost gave the puck up to Ferrara, but is going to get it back now on the near side. Dumps it all the way across to Kukowski. Kukowski up against Gray. Good job by Gray to win that puck away as they both go down hard to the ice. They're both back up and appear to be okay. Now as it comes to Kennedy, back up to Gray. Good series for Kennedy. And Gray back on the defensive line for the Bulldogs. We're halfway through the period. Bulldogs giving up a much better fight than they did in the second period, but still looking for that tying goal, trailing 2-1 here at Ingles Rink. Micheletti looked to try to get that puck, said won by Martini, tried to get it clear but couldn't do it in time. Here comes Martini and the Bulldogs. They've got numbers. The 3-on-1, it's going to be dumped up to Zupan, carries it into the zone for the Bulldogs. Looks to get a shot pushed aside by Riley. Good shot from Zupan. With Matichuk back behind the net, it's going to be with Zupan. Centering feed there, couldn't find the stick of a Bulldog player. Goes back to Ostrom, looks to keep the zone. Couldn't do it though. Bulldogs going to have to reset, but not before Micheletti and the Friars take back possession. That shot right into the glove of Leonoff. Another stoppage of play, 9:38 remaining in the third. Much more back and forth. I mean, we look at this unofficial shot total, 19 for the Bulldogs. That's one above their average, 36 for the Friars, well above their average of 29. It's been an exciting game. We expected that from the Friars, who have only been shut out once this season, and not a surprise here tonight. They have 2 goals. They're up 2-1 for the Bulldogs. They're averaging 1.36 goals per game. They've got one. They're looking for that second. It would bring them into a 2-2 tie. They've had a few good looks there, Dunbar notably, on that last one a few minutes ago, off of a good shot from Zupan. A wide open rebound fell to Dunbar, but Riley, a very heads-up play from her, was able to pounce on that at the last second. Bulldogs We're going to look for another opportunity as Dunbar here on the near side fights to win it back against Morse. Back behind the boards, comes now to Gray, leaves it for Murray. Up now to Dunbar with Gray. The defense of Yale has been very active. Dunbar getting a lot of action right there now, but Gray, Kennedy have had a lot of solid minutes here tonight to go along with Martini and Tomimoto and Murray. That shot just wide. A tough angle there for the Friars. An upcoming penalty, though. It's going to be called against the Bulldogs. Their 5th of the night, I do believe. It's 8:52 remaining in the third period. And the Bulldogs are going to go back on the penalty kill for the 5th time tonight. For the Friars, 1 of 4 on the night. Maddie Murray's sent to the sin bin, her first trip of the night. But again, a tough task for the Bulldogs as they're looking to try to get their own goal, but right now forced to defend for the following 2 minutes. Yet again. A 2-minute interference call against Maddie Murray. Bulldogs did a good job clearing that for the waste some time off the penalty. Here comes Virtue and the Friars. Up to Frade, who's in on net, in on Leanoff, pushed aside by Leanoff. Very good job by her. Frade had an angle against Kennedy, but Leanoff up to the challenge yet again tonight now as it comes back to Virtue. A shot there, gloved, and Leanoff saw that the entire way through a lot of traffic. That was Hanrahan right in front of the net, causing a lot of disturbances for Hanrahan. 5 feet 8 inches tall. It's going to be tough for the Bulldogs to push her out. The sophomore from Poolsville, Maryland, 7 goals, looking for her 8th there. But Leanoff up to that challenge. 1:29 remaining on the penalty for the Friars. Back around the boards, a big windup there from Matichuk. Tried to clear their zone, but couldn't do it. Goes back to Morse here on the near side. A wind-up shot there right off of the chest pad of Leanoff. Fighting for it on the near side. Vela back to Morse with that last big wind-up slap shot. Slatery thought about it, said dumped it into the slot. It comes back to Vela. Vela's got a lot of time against Matichuk, but an errant pass is going to come back to Vela. Bulldogs are able to win it, and Matichuk gets the clear. Big clear for the Bulldogs. 45 remaining on the penalty. Gathered now with Morse. Up to Anderson. Dumps it back for Vela now on the near side. Defended by Gray. It's going to be Bowie. Bowie brings it in a shot, and Leanoff gloves that one right out of the air. A low wrister coming from Bowie, and Leanoff snares that one with 31 seconds to go on the penalty. 7:23 remaining in the period. Unofficially, 38 saves for Leanoff. She already has, I think, 3 40-plus saves so far this season. Another one pushed aside by her. Illikainen fighting for her second goal of the night. Couldn't get there. A lot of action right in front of Leanoff's net. Comes now with Virtue on the near side. Cross ice, a shot deflected there, pushed aside by Tomimoto. Comes to Illikainen on the far side. 8 remaining on the penalty. Haddad did a good job tying up the puck there on the far side now as it comes back to Illikainen. And with that, the penalty has been killed by the Bulldogs. 1 of 5 on the night are the Friars on the penalty, but they got one big one as that one very nearly squirted in to Leanoff's net on an own goal. Fortunate for the Bulldogs, they were able to clear that just in time. 6:30 remaining here in the third period. Bulldogs back at even strength. Here comes Virtue and the Friars now up to Frade. Cross ice, finds Magali. Flubbed there, but won by Dunbar. In, takes a shot there. Wasn't properly handled by Riley. Almost scored to the back of the net. And instead, it went back behind her net. Dunbar's had a few good shots here tonight. And again, she was the one that very nearly had that wide open opportunity about 5 minutes ago, but Riley was able to pounce on that just before Dunbar's stick. As Mock goes down, still fighting for it. It's going to be cleared by the Friars and up to Hanrahan and the Friars. Good stick work there. Blows by Murray right into the chest protector of Leanoff for yet another save. The 40th of the night for Leanoff. A fantastic performance from her, keeping her team in this contest. The Bulldogs still at 19 shots on the night. 5:48 to go in the period. Bulldogs being outshot here again in the third period, but have had a few good opportunities of their own. That shot deflected by Matichuk comes to Hanrahan. Errant pass finds Ostrom's just going to clear the zone. A streaking Zupan has got a lot of speed on her, carries it into the zone. A little dump there, tried to find Matichuk. Still fighting for it on the far side. It comes back to Martini. Martini tied up by two Friars defenders. Zupan in as well to try to help out. Back behind the net of Riley. Zupan almost lost her edge, but holds onto it and wins the puck back. Now as it comes to Matichuk. Matichuk pursued by Pendleton. Good defense from her. Both of them go down. We'll get a penalty upcoming there. I think that's going to be against Pendleton. It's going to send the Bulldogs back on the power play for the second time tonight. A big power play opportunity for the Bulldogs with 5:10 remaining here in the third period. The Bulldogs only trailed by one. This is a huge opportunity for them. They've had trouble on the season, though, converting their power plays, only doing it at a 12.7 clip. But here's a big one now as it comes back to Martini. A hard slap shot there just wide of Riley's net. Moncion, it's going to be 2 minutes against Pendleton for holding. Tomimoto back to Moncion. Carries it in back to Tomimoto. Bulldogs trying to set something up here as it comes to Martini. To Moncion, thought about it. Couldn't keep the puck on her stick. Now as it comes back behind the net to Ferrara. Couldn't handle that one. Haddad in there as well to scoop that one up for the Bulldogs. Ferrara and Haddad in there fighting for it. We've seen a few of these so far here tonight. Right now it's at the Bulldogs' expenses. It's 1:13 to go. Martini thought about the shot. Moncion to take it. A weird little floating shot there. Almost caught Riley off guard, but in the end just over the crossbar. But that would have been a goal for Moncion. Martini, another hard slap shot off the ice. Deflected, though. I think that came off of Ferrara. She's slow to get up right in front of the net of Riley. A hard shot there, and now found the back of the net. And we're tied up. Tara Tomimoto, a power play goal for the Bulldogs. 4:01 remaining in the third period. Finally, a power play works for the Bulldogs, and it's 2-2 here at Ingles Rink. What a game. For the Bulldogs, only their 8th power play goal of the season. But wow, that couldn't have come at a bigger time. The officials, however, are convening now in front of the scores table, talking about something over there. As of now, they haven't put it up on the scoreboard. We're going to have to wait to hear what the call is. And it looks like they're going to go back into the locker room to take a review of this. So we're going to have to wait to see whether we're going to have a tie game here at Ingles Rink. We saw a video review here yesterday against McGill on first it was called a goal for McGill, but they went back, they took a look at it, and in the end they ruled that Saunders, I believe the player was, had used her skate rather than her stick to guide it into the back of the net. It was called off, and a good call there for the Bulldogs. Now they're hoping that this video review will give them the goal. I think as it stands now, it wasn't a goal. It's still 2-1 on the scoreboard. We have to wonder what they're looking at. It clearly was a shot from Tomimoto. You got to think they're reviewing whether there was interference with the goalie or a crease violation or something of that nature. It was a quick review, though, by the officials as they look about ready to come back onto the ice. They're still talking, though. But what a huge goal that would be for the Bulldogs. Only their 8th power play goal of the year, rather. We'll see if it is indeed going to be their 8th goal of the year from the power play. Talking for it. And they're going to count it. It is a power play goal from Tara Tomimoto. 2-2 here at Ingles for Tomimoto. Her 2nd goal of the year. And a huge goal. And what a time to get that. The Bulldogs have been fighting their way back here in the third period through 16 minutes of play, giving up a number of shots, but getting a few shots of their own, 7 so far this period. And that last shot by Tomimoto found the back of the net, a huge goal for the Bulldogs. And with 4 minutes to go in this period, it's an even game, and it's anyone's game right now. For Leonoff, a bit of a vindication for her as her 40 saves have kept the Bulldogs in it, and she's been rewarded with a tied ball game right now here at Ingalls Rink. And you can just see the amount of life that has been injected into this Bulldog team. You could tell they were starting to feel the wear and tear of a long game here at the Whale, but after that goal in video review, they are back to life, skating with purpose now as it finds Ferrara, that puck up on the far board. She's all by herself, though. Kept in by Gray. Is going to fire this one in, almost deflected out of the air from Haddad. A good heads-up play from Gray to keep that one into the zone. Nothing going there as shot totals now 43 unofficially for Providence, 21 for Yale. That last shot, a big one, of course. Anderson now, big wind-up shot, punched right into the middle of the air by Leanoff. Almost hit the American flag. In the end, it's going to be gathered with Kennedy on the far side and up and out of the defensive zone for the Bulldogs. A big 2:54 remaining here in the third period for the Bulldogs. They're going to need to try to close this one out strong. Of late, they've given up a lot of late goals. Yesterday, they gave up one with 65 seconds remaining in the second period. In the Rensselaer game, they gave up a goal with 65 seconds remaining in that game to lose 4-3. Now they're within 150 seconds of this, and they're tied up. They're going to have to be very careful not to concede a third goal, as they appear to be very fired up with good reason, as that was a big power play goal from Tomimoto. Worked to perfection by this Yale team. Coach Fleek has got to be pleased with his team's power play performance. Pendleton now looks to try to slow things down for the Friars. Bowie goes back behind the blue line. Comes now with Slatery. The Friars look a little disconnected there after conceding that late goal. Micheletti gives the puck right back to the Bulldogs, and Tomimoto, who has continued her stellar play really this entire season, has been phenomenal. But a centering feed there. Leanoff came out of her cage hard, but I believe it was Gray that was able to get that deflection. But a dangerous play there for the Friars. 1:45 remaining in the third period. It's going to be Vela. Deflected from Mock. Cleared by Magali. It goes back to Magali. She's pursued by Micheletti. Back behind Leanoff's net. It's going to find Tomimoto on the far boards. Up and stopped by Morse, who brings it right back in the offensive zone. But Tomimoto now is going to dump this off the boards. But finds Hanrahan, who's got a bit of space on the near side. Hanrahan in on Gray. Shot up over Leanoff's cage. Comes to Martini, who's able to clear the zone, but not for long. This puck's going to go right back to the Friars. That's Romanchuk, who was there to take it. Errant pass is going to be won by Kennedy. And we're within 1 minute till the end of the third period. Bulldogs 2, Friars 2. It's going to be a frenetic race to the finish. I can tell you that much, as Monsione was able to get her stick in the way of that path. But two Bulldogs collide as Kennedy and Haddad both go down. And here come the Friars in a 3-on-2. A shot pushed aside by Leanoff. Second shot just to the left of Leanoff's net. Leanoff, though, out of her cage, still down. And now we're going to get a stoppage of play as Leanoff took a big collision as she went to make that first save. Collided into, I believe, a Friars player and another Bulldog. A hard collision with number 28, Hanrahan, and she's still down. She's moving, though, but a big save there from Leanoff, keeping her team into it. And how often have I said that tonight? Of 44 shots unofficially taken on Leanoff, and she's sticked aside 42 of them. I mean, it's been incredible what she's done here tonight. We got to hope she can continue to see this one out with 35.6 seconds remaining here in the third period. Up a bit gingerly, but she is skating around. I'm sure she's not going to want to leave her net or her team, and she's not. She's going to stay in there. What a fight from this player. I mean, she is a fighter. I mean, just all night long has been coming out hard to take big shots from this Friars team. Fearless there on that last play. Came out hard to make the save and then took the hit from Hanrahan. You don't often see that in the women's game, but she is playing lights out right now. 42 saves unofficially for Leanoff, and none bigger than that last one, keeping the Bulldogs locked in a 2-2 heat here at Ingalls. Zupan to take the face-off for the Bulldogs. Subbed out now for Matichuk. Elakainen taking it for the Friars. Dangerous right in front of Anderson. Anderson couldn't get it in front of Leanoff's net. Goes back to Morris, up to Anderson. And here comes Elakainen, who's got some space on the far side. Centering feed there, couldn't get frayed. And now we're within 20 seconds. Morse is going to dump this one. Fancy little pass, trying to find Anderson on the far boards. Tied up along with Ilikainen is Zupan. Comes with Anderson. Can't get the clear of the Bulldogs. Dangerously in front of Leonoff's net. And there's the clear by Martini with 2 seconds to go. A big clear there is going to end the third period. And folks, we're not done. We got a bit of free hockey upcoming as Tara Tomimoto tying this game back up at 2 apiece. And that's going to send us into an overtime period in 2 minutes away. Both teams are going to stay on the ice. A bit of talking by both coaches before we start the overtime period for the Bulldogs. They've had their fair share of overtimes this season, going 1-1-1, I believe. Their tie coming against Union December 7th. Their one win in the first round of the Nutmeg Classic. That came against UConn. I believe they were down 3-2 in that game. Similar circumstances, scored a late goal in the third period to tie it up, and then got a game winner there. And then obviously their other overtime game, a 5-4 loss against a very tough Dartmouth team, the same Dartmouth team that beat Providence just 6 days ago up in Providence 4-2. So should be a very interesting couple minutes of action upcoming for the Bulldogs. They're no strangers to overtime play. And let's talk about how the Bulldogs got here for a moment. I mean, it's a testament to the fortitude of the entire team for not giving up. They faced 44 shots, only conceded 2. That's obviously Leonoff's job. But this team, which has been so reliant on their freshmen haven't quit tonight. They fought every single minute, and after a very tough second period where many people would have counted them out of it, they came back, they fought tough, they got a couple of good looks, and in the end it paid off with the senior Tara Tomimoto getting a huge goal for the Bulldogs, her second of the season, giving her 6 points on the season. And right now it's anybody's game. Obviously the Friars out shooting the Bulldogs 44-21 on shots. But the Bulldogs have got a few good opportunities and have made them count when it matters. And right now, there's a 5-minute overtime period here at Ingalls Rink. I'm Paul Wasserman. You're watching Yale Hockey. And we've got a great match here, 2-2. Bulldogs skated out to a 1-0 lead, fell down 2-1, and now back at 2 apiece. Farrar tries to get it in on net, pushed aside at the last possible moment by a Friars defender. But she's back in it, fighting for it against Hanrahan now. Haddad's going to win this one on the far boards. Tried to find Monsignor in the center, but couldn't get there in time. It's going to go all the way back. Tomimoto skates to it, and she's pursued by Hanrahan. Tomimoto near boards, up over to Martini. Finds Haddad. Dumps it up and out to Virtue, who's going to gather that, however. Hanrahan brings it into the zone for the Friars. It's cleared now by Martini up to Tomimoto. Tomimoto, great foot skills. I mean, the way she works on those skates, she just can blow by, stop on a dime against her opponent. Has worked wonders all season long. Good bit of skating by her on that last play. Ilikainen couldn't hold on to that pass off the boards as it comes with Kennedy. Ostrom couldn't handle that pass as well. Goes right back to the Friars. Gloved out of the air by Pendleton. Push to Ostrom. No penalty called there. Gathered by Zupan and Ostrom now, fighting for it against Pendleton. Pendleton, a very aggressive defender for the Friars. As through center ice, a good heads-up play from Kennedy to take that puck away. To Magali. As so far 2 minutes into this contest, the Bulldogs have come out very, very active in this overtime period. But right now it's the Friars in their offensive zone with Vela. Wraparound sticked away by Leonoff, but it comes right to Hanrahan. Skates in, deflected by Kennedy, up and into the netting. Now 3:05 in the overtime period. Get a face-off to the left of Leonoff's net. And for the Bulldogs, their second game in as many days, 120 minutes of action, and they've got another 5 minutes upcoming here. You got to say that last goal from Tomimoto revitalized them. It does not look like they're feeling that burn, though I'm sure they are. It's a tough order to tall for. That was right in front of Leonoff's net. Out and open, but Leonoff is up to the challenge. Pounces on that one. Another dangerous opportunity in front of Leonoff's net. The Bulldogs allowing too many opportunities 5 feet, 4 feet away from Leonoff. It's been dangerous all night long, but Leonoff, boy, does she have her sixth sense working tonight as she is pouncing on every single puck in front of her net. Slattery fighting for it. Comes now with Haddad. Bulldogs going from right to left on your computer screen. Finds Farrar here on the near side. Carries the zone. Has Moncion in there. A shot's going to be wide of Riley's net. Comes to Haddad. 2:33 remaining in the period. Martini tried to keep the zone, but couldn't do it. Slattery over to Bowie on the near side. Almost ran into Jacobson, the official, right in front of Providence's bench. Comes back to Morse. Big defender for the Friars. Kennedy tries to find Mock in the center, but goes off of Mock's skate. Goes right back to the Friars. Here they come in a 3-on-3 rush. A shot pushed aside by Leonoff. A good save from her. It's a hard challenge from Frade. Ostrom in on the offensive zone of the Bulldogs. Back to Mock. Couldn't handle that one now as it comes to Kennedy. A shot there deflected by Ostrom. I think that was Ostrom that deflected that up over Riley's net and into the netting, but a hard rip there from Aurora Kennedy. And with 1:49 here left in the overtime period, we're going to face off to the right of Riley's net to be taken by number 9, Danny Moncion. A big 1:49 remaining here in the overtime period, as the Bulldogs have clawed back from a 2-1 deficit to send this game into overtime. Haddad back to Farrar. Over to Moncion. A lot of traffic over there, and out of the Briar Patch comes Morse and the Friars. Stick down, though, by Haddad. Great job keeping the zone for the Bulldogs. Haddad a shot in and gloved to the side by Riley. I don't think Riley really saw where that one was going, but a good look from Haddad now. She ties up back behind Riley's net. It's going to come away again for the Friars. Comes up to Vela, leading a 1-on-2 charge. That shot goes just wide of Leonoff's net. One now with Martini, and we're within 1 minute left in the overtime period with Mock. To Vela. It's going to come to Anderson now. She's been relatively quiet here tonight. That shot, Martini got her stick in there just at the nick of time to keep that shot from getting on Leonoff's net. Bowie now on the far side. Comes to Slattery. Shot by Slattery. Pushed aside. That one came off the post of Leonoff's net. The goalie's best friend right there doing wonders for Leonoff, keeping the Bulldogs in this game. What a shot from the Friars. Leonoff is going to thank that post at the end of that game, that's for sure. Tomimoto sprawls out. Here come the Friars. 3-on-1. A shot by Anderson. Another shot, and there's the game winner coming from the Providence Friars off of the rebound. Leonoff made a good first save, but wasn't there to get the second one. And the Bulldogs are going to fall in overtime 3-2. What a heartbreaking loss for the Bulldogs. Leonoff made a very good save on a 3-on-1 rush coming from the Friars. But in the end, it was a little too much. The 51st shot of the game finds the back of the net. Leonoff, heroic in this effort. 48 saves on the night unofficially. But all she's going to remember is that third goal. She made a huge first save, I believe, off of Anderson. But it came right to another Providence player. Hanrahan is going to get that goal, her 8th of the season, in a perfect place at the right time just to clean up that. Unfortunate for the Bulldogs, who fall here tonight 3-2 to a very tough Providence team. But a lot of good things we saw from the Bulldogs. Notably, they fought back. They didn't give up despite conceding 51 shots. We saw a number of good looks from them and a lot to take away for the next week of practice. Again, Bulldogs and Yale not back in classes yet, so they have another week where all they need to do is focus on hockey and get them ready for Clarkson and St. Lawrence next week. That's going to be a Friday 7 p.m. start here at Ingalls Rink. We're going to bring that live here on Yale All Access. But for here tonight on a cold Saturday evening, the Bulldogs fall in a tough one, 3-2 to the Providence Friars. You've been watching Yale All Access. I'm Paul Wasserman. I want to give a big thanks to my whole production team for coming out on this cold day, and have a good night, folks. Yale falls 3-2.